People of the internet, welcome back to another video. It is I, Don Thomas, back in here with another one. As always, folks, the likes, the comments, the subscribes are all greatly appreciated. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Without further ado, man, let's go ahead and dive into today's topic, man. You see it in the thumbnail, you see it in the title. It looks like the U.S. population has averted a government shutdown. Which, to be completely honest, I'm actually surprised. I thought for sure when word of this was looming around that we might be facing a government shutdown, since it's happened before, I thought this was going to happen 100%, which would have solidified, or I guess would have been a check in the side of the box of me when I always say that the government and politics is all WWE wrestling to me. So honestly, when I heard the news was coming, I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna shut down for sure, because again, it's happened before. So it looks like there was a buzzer beater call late last night, because of course all of this would have taken place today, October 1st. The government would have officially been shut down starting today, but it looks like at the wee hours of late last night or whatever it was, it looks like we were able to avert that, which is, I guess, kudos to them, because yeah, I didn't think that was going to be the case. But let's go ahead and dive in. Let's educate ourselves a little bit more, of course. I'm sure there's people out there that are going to be a little bit more knowledgeable in terms of how all of this stuff works. I gathered up some things here real quick just to have a better understanding of, what took place for us to avert it, what would have happened, what does that mean for regular, everyday citizens just like you and I, had the government had officially shut down, what are the cases. Let's dive into some things, man. I have some things pulled up here, man. Let's take a look here. Boom. Let's see. Boom. I forgot how to do this. Is the audio... Wait, can you guys hear this?
The bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Whoa! Whoopee!
Well, Lauren, there was a gavel. So it has passed. The stopgap measure has passed. And now it's on its way to the Senate.
Yeah, exactly. And that is the next stop. That is the next big question. What is going to happen over there? How quickly can they move? Obviously, we are going to be watching very closely for what Chuck Schumer says and does next. But the momentum coming from the House of Representatives now, and that is such a big turn of events given where we were just a couple of hours ago.
Are a good number of the senators on the Hill today?
So this was yesterday. All right, yeah, so this was yesterday, I guess, on Capitol Hill. This video was uploaded by CNN, of course. What was this? September 30th, so yesterday. Whatever the case is, and of course you see the timer, 2:47. So they did this yesterday. My thing is this, right? And hopefully you guys could have heard that. I don't know if you guys were able to hear that audio, but basically you saw the clip there. So basically my thing is this, right? Why did it take... What was the reason behind it coming down to the buzzer as the way it did? As if this was some type of, basketball sporting event where, it's the buzzer beater that goes for the game-winning shot. Like, why do such things? Why even, I think for me, I would assume that a competent member of government, members or, politicians, whatever they call themselves, I would think that they would have had all of this sorted out well before even getting it so close as they did, right? Now, again, I don't know. I'm not the guy to ask in terms of what actually goes on behind those four walls and their votes and, the Democrats voted 40 votes and 50. I don't know all of that, right? So maybe, it is for me to kind of understand the complexity of some of the decisions they're running to. But I would feel, right, my thing is this. In the current state of the world, we already have enough going on. There shouldn't have even been a chance for there to be an ounce of anxiety in terms of the government shutting down. Because I think when they started announcing that the government was going to shut down, this was maybe within this past week or for a week and a half, where news was starting to, come out that, hey, the government might be shutting down. So for those people who that would have affected, primarily, I'm sure there was a lot of panic and angst that was, kind of set as if there wasn't already enough of that going on anyway. So my thing is this. All right, yeah, I'm grateful, I guess, that of course that they were able to come to some type of conclusion. And it looks like the bill was only extended for 45 days, so it's paused for now. Give or take, if they're able to prolong this or whatever, if they can come to whatever agreement, whatever the case is. So we basically got another 45 days to, figure out the spending bill, whatever they're talking about. My thing is, why did it have to come down to the wire? If this was a competent government where everybody's doing their job and this, that, yeah, of course there's going to be some some complexities, of course, which every job does. But I would think just off of the mere fact of all the chaos that's been happening in the world in terms of just like, student loans starting back up, of course, because that wouldn't have paused at all. There's a lot of things that would have had people already on the edge of their seats. The least the government could have done is at least seen that this was taken care of well before the buzzer beater of yesterday. Because, yeah, it's a sigh of relief, but at the same time, like, come on, bruh. Like, we already had enough going on prior to this. Get y'all shit together is basically what I'm trying to get at. It should not have taken buzzer beater yesterday in the wee hours in the afternoon of yesterday for us to confirm that, the government's not going to shut down. I feel like they should have did that sooner. That's just my take. Now, I was educating myself a little bit more, so let's say, because of course this did happen before. The government has definitely shut down before. I'm trying to remember when exactly, and of course Google is always the buddy. When was the last government? I feel like this was recent. Government shut down. Shut down. Okay. And how long was it for? So the last government shutdown was Saturday, December 22nd, 2018. No, wait, what? Okay. It was from Saturday, December 22nd, 2018 to Friday, January 25th, 2019. Was when the last government shutdown took place. It lasted 35 days. And I do recall this, of course. Prior to that, it was back in January 2018. Looks like that was only for 3 days. Control of the House, this, that, and the other. And then again in 2013 and then some time ago. So in 2018 and 2019, which is kind of tied to my point before. In 2018, right? From December 22nd. And I remember this. Okay, I vaguely remember this because it was around the holiday season. Okay, cool. So this happened before, as I mentioned. It lasted as long as 35 days, right? You would think at that point, we don't want to repeat that, right? We don't want this to happen again. Yeah, it's been some years, okay, whatever, since it's happened. But 35 days of a government shutdown around the holiday season is pretty crucial. It looks like we were gearing up to do the exact same thing this year. Why are we not learning from our mistakes? Why are we still cutting it close on such happenings with the government shuts down, right? Like, that's the point I'm trying to make. Like, yeah, again, I understand, like I've been saying, yeah, there's probably some complexities that are beyond our comprehension. Maybe we're just not going to be aware of, but I would feel like, hey, man, we don't want this to happen again. There's already a lot of things happening in the world right now. Let's not add more angst to our people, right? Let's solve this well before, so that way we don't have to cause commotion and anxiety for the people who this may severely affect. I digress. Anyway, I came up, since I don't really honestly know, I kind of educated myself and I found a nice little graphic, being that I am a visual learner, right? I found a nice little graphic that I'll share with you guys that explains like what exactly happens, because for some people it might affect, a government shutdown is going to affect some people more than others, right? I found a nice little graphic, share with you guys here. It's from CNN. What happens if the government shuts down? An illustrated guide. And of course, as I mentioned, as a visual learner, for all the visual learners out there in the world, I'm sure you'll be appreciative of this graphic. So what is a government shutdown? A government shutdown happens when Congress doesn't approve funding for the federal government by the time the new fiscal year starts on October 1st. It can be averted briefly if a short-term funding bill is passed, like what happened just before midnight on September 30th, which was, of course, this year. Of course, the deadline, of course, would have been midnight. I think they came to that conclusion in the afternoon, whatever the case is. Each year, Congress must pass the 12 appropriation bills that make up the discretionary spending budget and set funding levels for federal agencies. Cool. What happens during a government shutdown? If lawmakers fail to enact all or some of the appropriation bills, many government operations grind to a halt, resulting in a full or partial government shutdown until Congress acts. However, government functions that are deemed essential will continue. What it means for you, right? Because, of course, this is like, all right, well, what does a government shutdown mean for me in my life, in my day-to-day, whatever the case is, yada, yada, yada. So I'm going over this, of course, there's a graphic here as well, too. So basically what it means for you, because many federal workers are off the job during a government shutdown, many services are stopped or slowed, disturbing the day-to-day life for many Americans. Notably, Social Security payments to seniors, Americans with disabilities, and others would continue to be distributed, thank God. The Postal Service would also continue regular service. Some states would use their own funds to keep open certain national parks like the Grand Canyon. Cool. I found this nice little graphic, which I thought was cool, which kind of helps a little bit in terms of us everyday people, in terms of what would happen if the government shuts down. So, and of course, even this will kind of affect from, depending on where you are in the world, I guess your, what you do for a living, where you live, things of that nature. But anyway, so it looks like airport delays, which I do remember this as well too. So flight delays could increase like they did in 2019. I do remember this as well too, due to TSA workers and air traffic controller shortages. I do remember that. And again, this was around holiday season when this happened the last time, right? Museum closures, I do remember this, okay, cool. Now some may say, okay, big whoop, but of course we're thinking about all the people that are employed at these museums, right? So of course, all 21 Smithsonian museums and the National Zoo could close. Cool. Not cool, but yeah. Immigration courts may close. Compounding case backlogs. Early childhood education. So about 10,000 low-income children would immediately lose access to Head Start programs. Yikes, right? Food safety. FDA food safety inspections may be disrupted. Yikes, right? Food assistance. WIC funding will be immediately at risk unless states step in, and SNAP funding is uncertain past October, right? So these are things, of course, if you are dependent upon these things, I think all of us are dependent upon FDA food safety. So if the FDA is not working, let me see if I can. So if the FDA is not working, right? If the FDA is not working, of course, that's going to be, impacting us, people who get our food from the grocery store. Of course, not everybody has the ability to grow their own food and their own vegetables, yada, yada, yada. And of course, the FDA is the, sector of people that clear some of these things, making it, approving these things for us to be, for them to be safe for us to eat. So if they're not working, food assistance is no longer working. Let's see, what else? Transportation, projects to repair subway tracks, rehabilitate buses, or buy new ones could pause. Okay, cool. So transportation is somewhat deterred. Infrastructure, so transportation, construction, work across the nation could be put on hold, yada, yada, yada. What it means for government workers. Of course, if you are a government worker, of course, that's going to be, and a lot of people, of course, nobody wants to be out of a job, right? Of course, if this is your primary means, again, this ties back to what I was saying before. Why wouldn't your government see to it that we avert all of this well before a buzzer beater decision at 3:00 the day before, right? If we knew all of this was at stake, right? If you know all of this is at stake, if you knew it happened before for 35 days in 2018, all the way through 2019, the holiday season of 2018 through, the new year in 2019 for 35 days, if you knew this happened before and you saw the impact of it then, why would you even allow it to get this close again? Here's the point I'm trying to make. In America, not a third world country, and this is no shade to third world countries, of course. I have family in a third world country, this, that, and the other. But you would think this upstanding United States of America would be able to solve these things well before a buzzer beater decision the day before, hours before. Right? Or wrong? It's weird to me, folks. I don't understand, man. Again, I'm not the guy that's going to sit here and tell you, go out and vote for better policy. Some people would say that's the solution. Well, vote for more competent politicians in your state. Go out and vote, this, that, and the other. And that's, if you feel like that's the solution, do it. I'm not going to tell you not to do it. If you think that that's how you can contribute to a solution that's going to help us bypass things like this in the future, cool, do it. I personally would feel like, these people seem to be calling the shots on their own, regardless of whether we vote or not, is my whole thing. So I would think the solution is just holding more accountable, holding them a little bit more accountable, being a little bit more vocal. The people that have greater platforms, or a larger voice in these, internet streets, hold these people more accountable. Bro, what y'all doing over there, man? Why are there talks of looming government shutdowns, man, knowing all of that is at stake? For what? Why are we not solving these things weeks, months before we get down to the buzzer? Is the point I'm trying to make. What are your thoughts, folks? As I mentioned before, in several videos, man, with things like the election coming up, with things like misinformation, and with things like COVID cases re-emerging, it's like, do you think now is the time where the government needs to be shutting down? Thankfully, of course, we averted it for 45 days, but do you think that's what we need to be? Is that not, as they would say, the icing on the cake? Now is not a time to be up in arms on spending bills and this, that. Like, we need to be moving efficiently into this next year. So to see the government, buzzer beater decisions, hey man, 45 more days to whatever the case is, it doesn't really make me feel as confident and optimistic moving forward. That's all I'm saying. What are your thoughts, folks? I'm sure a lot of you, who this would have impacted a lot more than others, you're grateful, and I'm grateful for you that we were able to avert, at least for the meantime, the situation from happening. But what does this mean moving forward? Does this make you more confident in your U.S. government? Are you a little bit more skeptical to the people that are in power and making these decisions? How do you feel about this, man? And of course, I'm not trying to sway you to think one way or the other, but I do want you to think. I do want you to form your own opinions. And if you're sitting here asking yourself, well, what can I do about it? Such as life, whatever the case is, we all just got to, fend for ourselves at some point. I feel like sometimes in situations like this, if the government, you see these things all the time, nobody's coming to save you. Position yourself in a way that you're not going to have to be too heavily reliant upon, honestly, other people, but in this situation, the government. Because all they're going to tell you is, oh, we tried, ups, we're working hard on it, trust me, we are, up, whatever the case is, but they'll still encourage you to vote for them the following year. But please vote. Yeah, we dropped the ball here, but please vote for us next year. You'll come out to the polls and vote for us, right? I don't know, folks. Make your own decisions. Think for yourself. I'm not going to sway you one way or the other, but I will encourage you to think critically. What are your thoughts? Of course, I'd like to hear them. Share them down with me in the comment section below. As always, the comments, the likes, the subscribes are all greatly appreciated, folks. I will catch you on the next one.